Hey folks, my name is Swathi Prabhu, and I'm the Mental Health Initiatives Coordinator with Hokie Wellness. I am so excited to welcome you to our second annual Hokie Hiccups Night. Hokie Hiccups is an event that was created to normalize the struggles, rejection, mistakes that we all experience or experienced in college. This event aims to dismantle this idea that everyone else is navigating college perfectly or effortlessly. Because the truth is, from little hiccups to epic failures, we all stumble on our path to growth. In fact, we have to make mistakes and learn from them if we want to grow. So thank you for joining us for this evening of Hokies sharing their stories of struggle and resilience through this short film premiere event. It's my pleasure to introduce you to your two hosts or MCs for the night, Chloe Loving and Saad Khan.
Hey Saad, did you know even Bob Ross struggled to find his path?
No way, his life seems so picture perfect.
Yeah, he actually started really young in the Air Force and ended up retiring to become a full-time painter. Do you know how to cure-paste the hiccups?
Look, we're not trying to cure hiccups, we're trying to share hiccups, okay? We're not masking our failures. We are masking for COVID though, by the way. In the making of all this, making of our videos, we are following all protocols. So let's see what these students have to say about their hiccups.
Let the clips roll.
So something I struggled with freshman year would be finding my sense of belonging. It's a huge culture change. Like, wow, all these faces don't know who they are, and it could be a bit like discerning at first.
To find the sense of belonging, it definitely took a little while.
Experiences as everyone else. I don't have the same backgrounds as everyone else.
Every time I changed my major, I felt like I was making a mistake. And it felt like at the time that it was going to derail my entire future. And in retrospect, not only did it not derail my future, it helped me find my own voice and find my own future that was authentic to me. And that was a huge thing. But at the time, it felt devastating. It seems funny to say it now, but that's what it felt like.
I'm a first-generation student. I went to a really small high school. And so going to a big university, I was kind of intimidated. I was worried I wouldn't fit in or make friends. I was worried that I wouldn't adapt to college life well.
I got in trouble pretty early on into my freshman year, the student conduct process.
There's courses I was taking that I literally had no clue what was going on. And then I was afraid to speak up and ask for help from those around me. And so that's something which, looking back now, that I wish I would have done.
Learning is a learning process. There's a huge difference between high school classes and college classes, and it took me the majority of the first semester and a little bit of the second semester to realize you have to approach it very differently.
The first part of my college experience was actually very difficult, although I presented really well. I looked like I had it all together. But in truth, I was lonely, I was afraid, and I was worried about fitting in. And it took a while to settle in.
Thankfully, part of that student conduct process was requiring me to meet with somebody in Hokie Wellness. And so I was only required to go one time, but I ended up going back a couple times just because I didn't really realize, the stress and difficulty that I was going through until I was there actually talking about it.
And seeing other people that were my age or even older have the same problems, and they were able to reach out and get the help they need, and they were now living their life the way they wanted to, I definitely had to see that to realize that I had to do the same thing if I wanted to see some kind of change.
Pushing through the discomfort that it feels to be new and to not be known, but to show up is the first huge step.
When I got to Virginia Tech, I realized that asking for help is a sign of strength and that you want to grow and that you want to start healing and become a bigger person than you were before.
You just got to talk to people and put yourself sometimes even in uncomfortable situations, and you meet the individuals that will help you grow.
There's a lot of freedoms that go along with, that first year, but at the same time, there's a lot of more responsibilities that weren't necessarily on you in high school in the same way.
Not putting too much pressure on myself is definitely something that I wish I had known my first semester, and I took that with me to my second semester, and it definitely helped with not only academics, but my mental health and physical health as well.
Life and failure that comes with it and setbacks are the stuff of learning. They're the things that help us become ourselves. They're the things that help us understand things that we couldn't have known without the failure or without the setback.
I gotta know what you're thinking after that one. Any of your thoughts?
Nah, let's let the financial wellness squad handle this one. Check it out.
All right.
When I was coming into college, I did not know what major I wanted to do. I had taken an AP test in high school that gave me some credit that I could transfer over, but I didn't think it would be applicable. And then when I decided to go into my major that it would have applied to, I was thinking, I took that class way long ago. I should just retake it. And when I took the class here, it was mostly basically the same information. So I totally could have transferred that credit, and I didn't. But here we are, and I'm loving the class.
When I was a freshman, I accidentally overdrafted my debit card $10 and then was charged an extra $60 in overdraft fee. Luckily, I called my bank back and they reimbursed me. Yeah.
So my freshman year, the summer after my freshman year, I decided to leave the business school because I hated business calc. And then I spent most of my sophomore year regretting it because I didn't know what I wanted to study or major in. But now I found two majors that I really enjoy.
So a couple years ago, I was on a second-story balcony with some friends. And as a joke, I climbed onto the other side and the balcony broke underneath me. But I survived, luckily. And now I know not to stand on the other side of the balcony.
So when I was a junior in college, I did not have a background in finances at all. And I thought I was making a really ahead of the curve financial decision. I thought this company was going to take off, and it was a penny stock. And I'm like, oh, this is great. It just has to grow a little bit and I'll make all this money. So I invested $1,000 and then within 3 months, it dropped from 3 cents a share to 0.03 of a cent per share. So I went from $1,000 value down to 100, and I just left it in there. And I'm like, you know what, it is what it is. And it's at 2 cents now. I don't know, but I bought so many shares. I think I have 36,000 shares of this company. So I might actually own, I'm not sure, but I might be the owner. So that was my hokey hiccup, pre-hokey hiccup.
Dang, man, you hate to see it. Sometimes even common sense fails us.
Hey, not every dime turns into a dollar. Sometimes it turns into 3/100ths of a penny. Hey, moving on with Movember, we're going to check in with our bros, not just their gains. Hey, by the way, I've been exercising my emotional intelligence these days.
Oh, I'm too hip. Your listening skills are massive.
Dog, my empathy game on lock like two-factor authentication.
All right, that's enough of that. Please just play the video.
look, sometimes the people who counsel you through your L's be taking L's themselves.
That's true. It can be hard to be patient, and not just with your patients.
Yo, life can be shady sometimes. Sometimes you gotta duck and dodge to stay afloat.
That's really true. Even in the murkiest waters, we feel the need to just keep swimming.
Look, it's time for us to check under the surface and not duck around. Keeping it more real than climate change.
Oh, I see what you did there. This next clip hits a little bit different, so we felt the need to run it back again this year.
Hey, like my man Drake, we're going back to back.
Hi, my name is Ennis McCreary, and I am the Director of Student Conduct here at Virginia Tech. So when Swathi and Dave asked if I would share my Hokie hiccup, I said, why not? I think that a lot of people assume that because I'm in student conduct, I've always towed the line, I haven't made mistakes, and quite frankly, that I probably judge other people who do. So I think it's important that folks know my story. I think the simple version is that I'm a college dropout. When I first went to college, I went to University of Kentucky, and I chose it for the wrong reasons to begin with. So I had come out of an all-girls boarding school, and so quite frankly, I looked at the male-female ratio at universities. I was, looking to get out of that all-female environment, and I also wanted a big sports school. And at the time, Kentucky basketball, much like it is today, was a pretty big deal. And so I thought, great, this seems like a great place to be. And I went really without any plans other than that. I wanted to go have a good time, and I did. But that good time revolved around a lot of alcohol, not much going to class, and really making fewer connections with other people than what I had hoped. At the time, the story that I told myself was that I was just having fun and that this was what college was. I had grown up here in Blacksburg, actually. My father worked for Virginia Tech, and so I had grown up really idealizing what college life was. But what college life to me was everything that was outside. It was the fun. It was the parties. It wasn't the learning. And so I went, and that was the model that I embraced. After 3 semesters, I realized that this probably was not for me right now, and so I dropped out. And I didn't end up going back until I was in my late 20s. I was married. I had 2 children. I went back. I ended up actually graduating from Virginia Tech with a degree in English, and then I went straight into graduate school where I got a Master's of Fine Arts in Creative Writing. For a lot of time before I went back to school, I felt a lot of shame about my path. I didn't share with a lot of people, and it got really hard when my friends were starting to graduate, and then they were getting jobs that required a college degree, and I really felt like I was a loser and that I could have and should have done better. What I know now, though, is that this was just my path. What I've realized is when I first went, while I thought that I was having fun, what I really was doing was covering up a lot of loneliness, some pretty significant depression. And I was just floundering. I didn't know who I was. And unfortunately, I didn't have other people who really saw me. I don't think my RA knew my name. Faculty didn't know who I was, and partly that was my fault because I didn't go to class. There was nobody else who asked me what I cared about, asked me why I was there. And that's one of the reasons that I love my work in student conduct, because it's not about punishing people. It's about sometimes helping people think through why they're behaving in certain ways and saying that, you matter. Why are you here, and what do you need to be supportive? And I really wonder if someone had done that for me, would it have made the difference? I don't know. At this point, I'm grateful that my path was what it was. I think I'm a more empathetic person. I actually did really well when I went back to college. And I'm really grateful for where I am now. I probably wouldn't be sitting here at Virginia Tech now if I had graduated when I was supposed to. So I think what I would say is, while you're in it, while you're in a struggle, it can feel like you're alone. It can feel like everybody else has it together. And it can feel like the entire rest of your life is derailed. But for me, the lesson is sometimes you got to go through hard stuff to be the person that you were meant to be from the very beginning. And that's how I feel about my life now. And I'm really grateful to be able to tell you the story. Thanks for listening. And I encourage all of you to share your hokey hiccups, not just tonight, but anytime someone will let you, because I think that we don't share enough, that we're not perfect, and that really mistakes are probably the greatest teacher that we could ever have. So thanks a lot for listening. Have fun.
That and his video hit different. And I think it's time for me to share some of my words from my story. Delivered in a bit of a rap fashion, if you will.
Go for it, my
but let's
friend.
do it. Let's do it, all right? Look, it's not easy to find your why. Peace without the all right. Days without the silent cry. A brain that doesn't fry. A train of thought that doesn't find ways to criticize your every line at every time. Our brains doing the most It's hard to find ways to healthfully cope, but helping other people express may provide someone hope. Look, honestly, like, everyone sharing your story today was very brave of y'all. Chloe and I are very thankful to be a part of this experience and to just also share our own stories. Thank you.
And we had had a huge rainstorm, and there was a big deep puddle in the portal there. And I was dressed very nicely, and I tried to move around the water, and I hit a slick spot, and I fell into the water. And I was on the phone at the time, and so I had to hold my phone up, and the only thing that didn't get wet was my phone. And I was surrounded by students at Virginia Tech, and the horror on their face at me was amazing.